Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. You guys, 33% roughly of homeowners already have super low interest rates. So today what we're going to talk about is what effect that has on the housing market and specifically what effect that has on the inventory. Now, I've been hearing from a lot of people commenting on my channel and just in general how because so many homeowners have interest rates that are under 4%, that none of those people are going to sell houses. And essentially what that's going to do is cause homes to continue to go up. But today what we're going to do is we're going to look at the actual data of how many people around the United States actually have super low interest rates. And then we're going to analyze what effect that's really going to have on the housing market and specifically new listings. So today we're going to review a Redfin article that's absolutely bonkers that actually goes into this very thing. And it's titled, "Nearly 1/3 of homeowners have a mortgage rate far below today's level, prompting some to stay put." So you guys, roughly 33%, which is a ton of homeowners actually have an interest rate under 4%. But what is really important to understand is a lot of those people are still going to sell because there's a lot of different reasons to sell, like cashing in, for work purposes, for school purposes, falling on financial difficult times, downsizing, upsizing, and relocating. There are so many reasons to sell. I don't think that people having low interest rates is necessarily going to hurt our inventory that much. I think it's going to slow down, but let's continue to dive into the Redfin article. But before we continue, remember you guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm an opinion sharer, okay? I am a realtor in Houston, loan officer in Texas. I've been doing real estate for a couple decades. And if you can, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And as always, comment on my channel, comment on this video about your experiences, your insights, things of that nature, because you guys are actually helping me grow as an investor and as an individual. I actually do a lot of videos based on your comments. It's actually the comments that don't agree with my opinion that I really pay attention to because I want to get this right. Let's jump into the article right now. Okay, you guys, here's what the article is saying. Okay, this is the start, and we're going to look at one more straight from Fannie Mae, but this one's from Redfin. With mortgage rates surging, some homeowners who would otherwise be selling are staying put, as moving could mean losing their ultra low rate and getting stuck with a heftier housing bill. About 51% of US homeowners with mortgages have a mortgage rate under 4%. So 50% of people with the mortgage actually have a rate under 4%. That's a huge number, you guys. I didn't realize that was so high. The article goes on. Substantially below today's level of 5%. About 1/3, 32% of all homeowners, including those without mortgages, have a mortgage rate under 4%. With rates now at the highest level in over a decade, many of these homeowners may be incentivized to stay put because selling their home and buying another could mean giving up their ultra low mortgage rate and increasing their monthly housing bill. This may contribute to a decline in home listings. The article goes on. That's according to Redfin analysts of Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, data from the fourth quarter of 2021. The most recent period for which data was available. This report covers roughly 80 million owner-occupied U.S. households, of which about 2/3 have outstanding mortgages. We refer to these households as homeowners throughout this analysis. The average mortgage rate was about 4.2% as of the fourth quarter. You guys, so that's pretty amazing to think about that over half of people with a mortgage right now have a rate under 4%. So I do believe that's actually going to decrease listings a little bit. I think it's going to happen for a little while. But what I can assure you guys is moving further and further into 2022, people aren't going to have those low interest rates. So again, I believe what we're going through right now is a very painful and very powerful transition out of a seller's market. We are still in a toxic seller's market, but I can already see that changing despite the super low interest rates that 50% of mortgage holders have. Let's continue on with the articles. This section is a little bit long-winded, but it's very important. I like the data that's here. Let me read this. Redfin economists are watching closely to see whether the rise in mortgage rates has a measurable impact on the housing supply, which is already at historical low levels. New listings fell 7% year over year during the 4 weeks ending April 10th. By comparison, they were only down 1% at the end of February before mortgage rates skyrocketed. Higher mortgage rates may already be putting a damper on home listings, but they're also curbing the unstable home buyer demand for those listings. That slowdown in demand may cause homes to stay on the market longer, in effect, giving buyers more options to choose from. Overall, that could mean housing inventory actually gets better, not worse. There are already early signs that demand is starting to back off. Home sellers are increasingly cutting their list price to find buyers, and Redfin has seen a drop in buyers requesting service from its agents in pricey coastal markets. Mortgage purchase applications fell 6% year over year during the week ending April 8th, and home touring activity is below last year's levels. This slowdown in demand is likely another reason some sellers are staying put, as they're worried they'll no longer be able to get top dollar for their homes. With rents on the rise, many homeowners are opting to rent out their properties instead of sell. And you guys remember, that's exactly what I did. Instead of selling, I rented out my property, which is another way for them to hold on to their lower mortgage rates. Americans are also staying in their homes for longer in general. The typical US homeowner in 2021 had spent 13.2 years in their homes, up from 10.1 years in 2012. That's really astonishing to me, actually, guys. So, you guys, listing volume may be down right now 7% because of the interest rates. But here's the thing, you guys. It's not just down because of the interest rates. It's also more than likely down because of the drastically overpriced houses. So on one hand, yeah, we're taking a little bit of a hit on inventory because of the super low interest rates, but also homeowners, they don't want to purchase a drastically overpriced house. So that's also having an effect. Now, one thing that I like that that article pointed out is some people aren't selling because of the super low interest rates, like what I did in my personal situation, you guys. I have a 2.125% on my mortgage. I converted my primary residence into a rental because I want to hold on to my real estate for decades and I didn't want to sell. But the other incentive was my financing terms were absolutely historically great. So instead of me cashing in, I decided to rent that out. I'm now getting a pretty nice passive income. But instead of buying, I decided to rent. And I understand, you guys, that renting is a waste of money. I get that. But I would rather waste money in the short term than waste money in the long term by buying a home that goes upside down in equity. And that is really what I'm warning you about as far as buying right now. And I believe that's going to happen to all the people that spent way over appraisal value and over listing value to get a home. The fear of missing out, you guys, is going to start leaving our market despite these super low interest rates that a lot of people refinanced into or purchased into. And another good thing, you guys, we're starting to see more and more signs, right? Not only is listings down 7%, mortgage applications are down. Less people are even trying to get approved for these houses. But on top of that, home touring is also down. Home sellers are currently cutting their prices. This is fantastic news if you're like me sitting on the sidelines. And from all these polls I'm doing to my subscribers on my channel, I believe there's actually a lot of people in my same situation that are actually holding out for things to turn. Now, I don't believe that the vast majority of the population is on YouTube empowering themselves like my viewers are doing right now. So I think that, to be honest, I think a lot of us are special. I think we're actually in a really great situation as long as we don't get desperate and as long as we stay patient. Let's continue on with the article. The article continues. Many homeowners want to sell now because they're concerned that if rates keep going up, it will hurt home buyer demand and they'll have to drop their price. Rising rates are always a shock at first, but people still have to move. Some sellers will have to adjust their expectations and understand they may not be able to afford the same house they could have 2 years ago. You guys, I'm already seeing signs that the fear of missing out is actually shifting to the sellers. There's still fear of missing out depending on the city that you're in. Not all cities are equal. I understand that. Like my city of Houston is completely out of control still, but I'm getting a lot of subscribers that are commenting that they're already seeing sales price drops. They're already seeing houses on the market for longer. So we're starting to see in some areas an unraveling of the housing market already. But the fear of missing out, you guys, it is so powerful and so strong. If that goes to the seller's market and that goes to sellers, that's going to be another factor that is ultimately going to lead to a housing market crash. Now, real quick, I want to show you this chart of the cities and essentially how many of the homeowners actually have low rates, and then we're going to conclude this video. Take a look at this chart. Okay, guys, so I'm back on Redfin. This first column is homeowners, and the second column is mortgage holders, all under 4% interest rates, okay? And then the last column is people without mortgages. So I want to go down to a couple states here. Look at California. So in California, 40% of the homeowners have a rate under 4%. Colorado, 43%. I want to look at Texas because that's where I'm at. Look at Massachusetts, only 38%. Michigan, only 29%. What is Texas? Please be low, Texas. Yes, look at how low Texas is. So Texas is one of the lowest. So only 26% of households in Texas actually have a mortgage rate under 4%, which is especially good because in Texas, especially in Texas, we need more inventory. Let's take a look at Florida real quick. What is Florida? Hopefully Florida is low. Yep, look at that. Florida is also low, 25%. You guys, I bring up Texas and Florida because Texas and Florida are the #1 and #2 states of high migration. And essentially what that's doing to the locals and the local first-time homebuyers is it's crippling us. It's crippling them. It is very, very difficult for the locals here in Texas, depending on the city and a lot of areas in Florida, to even make offers that they can afford because there's so many out-of-towners that are scooping up the houses for ridiculous offers, all cash offers, instead of the locals. So I believe Texas, Florida, is going to lag behind. But let's close this video out right now and let me share some final opinions with you. So we are entering a very powerful and very painful transition out of the seller's market into the buyer's market. That transition has not done, but it has already started, and I hope you guys are seeing the writing on the wall. Now, also, obviously, listings are down, and we don't want listings to be down, but listings are down. And it's not only because people refinance into low interest rates, it's also because those same homeowners don't want to buy an overpriced house. So as we go into 2022, moving forward, I think we're going to continue to get a surge of inventory. Now, maybe not as much as year over year would tell us, but we're still going to get a surge of inventory regardless of the people in super low interest rates. But also another opinion I have, the cool down is actually happening a lot faster than I first realized. I thought things would take a little bit more time, but things are already unraveling, and the Federal Reserve just started doing measures to combat inflation. So this is happening a lot faster, and I hope people start waking up. And also what I'm noticing, you guys, is the fear of missing out is actually shifting to the sellers. It's still heavily in the buyer's market, okay? It's still heavily in the buyer's market. The housing market is not a buyer's market. It's still a toxic seller's market. But again, you guys, look at the writing on the wall. Look at what's coming. And we're also going to notice that it's going to happen a lot faster in certain cities over other cities. So remember what I always tell you guys, it's much better to have a higher interest rate than it is to overpay for a house. If you overpay drastically for a house, you can get trapped in that house upside down. And if you need to sell for financial problems or something like that, you are trapped. You cannot sell, and that is dangerous. So I hope this video was good for you guys. I hope we got some more data as to how many people exactly have a low interest rate. A lot of people do, but not all people do. 7% down on listings. It does suck, but it's not the end of the world, okay? So what I also want to share with you guys is continue to be patient. Pat yourself on the back for being patient. If you're sitting out because of how crazy the market is, I just want to tell you, in my opinion, you're doing a great job. Continue to do a good job and continue to find a home that you love at a good deal. You don't have to be desperate. Other than that, you guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.